Some shifts arrive quietly, stiff knees on the stairs, a breath that runs short, a pill bottle that's somehow always half empty. Listeners, if you are over 50 or you know someone who is over 50, it can start to feel like, this is just aging. This is normal. Nothing, unusual. But listeners, tonight on this episode, or today on this episode of the Cosmic Confluence podcast with your host Sana, we are pressing pause on that story. And as you all know, this is the space where science meets soul and real life sits in the middle. Our guest, Dr. Michael Guadagnino, chiropractic physician, lifelong mover, black belt, recreation commissioner, and author of Fitness Over 50, 60, 70, and beyond, has spent over 3 decades helping people stay strong, mobile, and independent. So, we are talking practical, not perfect, strength that you can feel, mobility you can keep, and choices that outsmart the calendar. So, listeners, let's all get honest and hopeful as well on Cosmic Conference. So, Dr. Michael, welcome to the show, and it is really an honor to have you here with us.
Hello, Santa. Thank you very much for having me on, and hope all your listeners are having a great day.
Super, super. Okay, Dr. Michael, although I shouldn't reveal my age, but it's very safe to say that I'm right now towards, kind of steering towards the midlife part, kind of. So,
We we will eventually get that way. That's we're all at it.
exactly. Exactly. And sometimes I'll be very honest, whenever, there's some kind of body pain or some kind of, sometimes pain in my knees as well, I do get that thought that, okay, so I am aging. But then also there is still some kind of hope within me that, okay, let me not ignore it. Let me take it as a whisper from my body or a wake up call and start working on it. So I think I'm very sure this conversation is definitely going to be that one particular wake up call or that guidance towards this path. So let's begin to understand the minimum effective dose for 50 plus. So how would you define, or what, how exactly the minimum effective weekly routine a generally healthy person over 50 needs to maintain strength and independence? Like, how would you define that?
That is a big question, but let's start with basically you had mentioned that 3 decades of being in practice,
Hmm.
seeing patients, just dealing with people. One thing I've observed over time is that there's a scientific term called entropy. Entropy means everything leads to disorder. If we don't take
Oh,
care of our bodies, we don't take care of our lawns, we don't take care of anything, it all kind of decays and begins to fall off to the side. I look at it as what we try to do is fight that, like a salmon swimming upstream. We wanna
hmm.
fight that decay, fight that entropy. So, what I tell people, what I try to recommend, and I wrote about in my book, is that to keep the body moving there's certain tenets. There's nutrition, there's sleep and rest, there's exercise, of course, there's supplements, there's different things you can do to just keep that body moving the other direction. We're not looking for everybody to become Arnold Schwarzenegger or
Oh,
yeah, our favorite fitness guru who might be in their 80s, like a Jack LaLanne once was, for those of us old enough to remember Jack LaLanne. But we're just looking just to keep ourselves healthy. Try to be a little more healthy today than we were yesterday, a little more healthy tomorrow than we were today, and just continue to follow in that pathway. And that means just to do some basic walking, if that means to do some little bit of swimming, eating right. If we do have a party or a celebration where we eat a lot of things that are considered technically bad, how we what we do to help clean our bodies up over the next couple days, and just continue to work on that because the last thing I want to see, the last thing I know most people want to experience is as when we get up to those 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and as long as we live, to be a body that's stuck on eating or taking a lot of medication,
mhm.
um, constant visits to the doctor's office, as you had mentioned, the constant pains. We want to fight that entropy. We want to continue to do everything we can so we can be healthier, so we can live a more fitness, clean type of life.
Absolutely. I really, really love that explanation here. I think it's a perfect beginning to this discussion, Dr. Michael. And one particular thing that comes to my mind, especially when, we talk about living a healthier life, becoming fit, especially when we are on the brink of aging or we are all into aging, is number one, the mindset. So, do you think that someone who is aging, however, from a mindset POV, is trying to, adopt a healthy lifestyle, have a good sleep, good diet, be mindful, can actually defeat those, physical signs or symptoms of aging? Or there is an appropriate way to actually navigate through that?
There absolutely is a way. It always starts with a state of mind. It always starts with, "I wanna do today." And when I tell people to when they start to that they wanna exercise, they wanna do something, sometimes people just don't know how to, and they need some kind of a guidance. And they look so far ahead, they're like, "Oh, I can never get to that point." I tell people, "Don't become overwhelmed with the long-term goals. Create your long-term goals, but create steps, little steps here and there, and just work on making those little steps. Don't be overwhelmed. Small goals, such say as a grand goal, I want to lose 50 pounds, but how am I ever going to do that? Well, you know what you do today? You walk a little bit. Tomorrow, you begin to eat a little more fresh, little bit better, and you continue on that path. And as
Mm.
1 week goes by, as 3 weeks go by, you're walking, you're exercising, you're running, and you start to realize, "Oh, wait, I am starting to lose a little bit of weight," until you eventually get to that point. You gotta celebrate the small successes, the small goals. You can't go from the bottom floor to the 10th floor in one jump. You gotta walk up steps. And it's patience, it's understanding, it's staying with your goals, and staying with the mission of what you want, and just celebrating those small little successes. And that helps keep the mind in that positive direction, keeps your mind in believing that you can do it. It can be done. It's been done. It's been shown to be done. But you just need to have, like, as you had mentioned, that positive state of mind, that belief, that not let the negativity get in and just continue to work. If I can also add, what I always recommend is to people to write things down, to journal with a
Mm.
book, your goals, and then reverse engineer what you want your goals. And then when you're having, I mean, everybody has bad days. Everybody has off days. Go back and look at what you've accomplished, or how you felt when you wanted to start this process. And it really helps to kind of get you back in gear, back in that mindset that yes, I can do this, and yes, here is the way to do it, and then keep it moving. Even if you have a bad day, even if, again, like if a celebration and you have a party or something, and you don't eat, you don't exercise, you go on a holiday, you don't do something for a few days, just get yourself back in gear again. Just slowly start and get yourself back. We're not in a race, but we're looking to get those goals. So again, the ultimate goal is that you're not living a life of pain, medication, doctor's visits, and sedentary lifestyle.
Absolutely. I think that's a very mindful way of approaching this, because sometimes uh, if we set lofty goals and in the pursuit of those goals, sometimes we, as you very perfectly gave an analogy here, that we do take a huge leap. And I think when it comes to aging, there's definitely a mindful way to look at movement, that, without exerting on your physically exerting on your body, or emotionally or mentally exerting on yourself, you are able to reverse engineer a way towards your goals. It's small baby steps.
Yes, 100%.
Hmm. And Dr. Michael, and the next question, it's kind of a misconception that I've actually heard a lot from a few of my friends who are also in the same kind of path of going towards aging. That when we are aging, our body reduces or kind of stops reacting to any change in there. It kind of has already set in its way. So um, you won't be able to see any huge change in your body. So how would you, what's this misconception? That's what I think. It's a misconception, but I would like to
It is
hear
a
that.
misconception. Yeah, it is a misconception. Your body, as you do age, your body does stop producing certain hormones, certain, chemicals, and you may need to supplement for that. As an example, the body stops to producing what's called CoQ10. It's CoQ10, coenzyme Q10 in the body, which is found in the small cells, the small part of the cells called the mitochondria, and that affects the energy levels. That affects so sometimes or it's important to begin to supplement for that. So you fill that gap in, you fill in that space. And as you then with that with exercise, you definitely can begin to you could still build muscle. I mean, you
Mm,
absolutely can. You have to stay within obviously smart exercise. You're not 25 years old. You're not gonna get underneath the bars and try to lift 300 pounds if you're a man, or even
mm,
if you're a female. But you do want to, and you can continue to gain muscle and lose fat. The studies have shown that as you do exercise and lifting weights and walking and yoga,
mm, mm,
you can affect your metabolism in a way that decreases the fat and begins to build up the muscle. If you have to supplement, as I mentioned CoQ10, there's other things like creatine and, um, other eating properly, you can definitely make that difference. You definitely can. It's been shown through research. Actually, in my book, I have 200 citations of different, pure scientific research that shows that the don't like, don't give in to that again, that negative that, "Oh, I can't do this. It's not gonna happen." It can, and it has, and it can happen for you too.
mm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'm really, really happy that, that particular misconception has been busted because I used to really hear a lot from them. And Dr. Michael, I mean, you have earned a black belt. Um, and you have also served as a recreation commissioner in your hometown, like for almost 20 years beyond your work. Um, I think considering today's day and age, when we are actually surrounded by technology, um, across generations, um, do you think, like we can, especially people who are in that particular age or phase, they can overcome that, addiction or that sedentary lifestyle and actually get outside, um, you know, uh, maybe do some recreational activities in community because people are doing that, but I think somewhere down the line, we have kind of we are ignoring the benefits of that.
Yes, and like I always tell people, go outside and touch grass. You gotta get outside. Fresh air. Yeah, sunshine. I mean, vitamin D you get from the sunshine, just the fresh air, you fills your cells, it fills your lungs 100%. You mentioned, being myself being a black belt and recreation commissioner, it's just a way of my life. It just as a young kid, I've always been athletic and interested. I haven't been like an elite athlete at all, but I've always been interested in just exercising and taking care of myself and all through high school and college and chiropractic college and continued on. But the same thing too, I have many patients um, who have it, and again, they're looking for answers to why, and when they find out why, like you had mentioned, to go out and just to do things. I mean, go for a walk after dinner, go out and go for a walk for a little bit, and it just also helps the state of mind, the mindset. The sunlight helps areas of the brain and the hormone levels for that positive. Staying inside is just it's just not good. It's just getting that air, that fresh air, that sunshine and the activity. That staying with that same on the same course, what possessed me to write this book, and it really was like a possession because I really got really motivated, was during the pandemic that we had a few years ago. And during that pandemic, we found the research has shown that those who were more physically fit, who had, good levels of weight, good levels of blood pressure, had much better results from the pandemic for if they had caught the disease. And that inspired me to say, let's look for a way to people to get themselves healthy again over 50. And, I wanna help those outcomes, not just for pandemic, obviously the pandemic has come and gone, but for anything else. If all other types of being fit is going to help you no matter what. There's been research showing that exercising, lifting weights, even in older age, helps prevent cancer, um, to a certain extent, obviously,
Mm,
but it does make a difference. All kinds of exercise helps your immune system. So, let's not just sit there and allow things to happen to us. Let's make them happen. Let's take care of our bodies. Even if you have never exercised a day in your life, if you've never really eaten well in your life, you can do it. It can be done. And it again, not to be to look at the long term and become frustrated with and overwhelmed by what you would like to be. Follow small steps. Today, I'm going to just do this, and tomorrow I'm going to do that, and the next week I'm going to do this, and then slowly build up those steps, and it'll take you all the way in your journey to becoming fit and healthy. And God forbid you should ever be exposed to something or um, have some type of illness. Your
mm,
chances of chances of survival and getting over something is greatly enhanced and increased with being fit. And it's the data is there to show it.
mm, mm. That makes sense. That makes
Mm.
sense. Um, and also, Dr. Michael, like many over 50, they juggle. I mean, I have seen, including my parents as well, especially my mother, juggling meds for blood pressure, lipids, sometimes sleep as well. So, which training and recovery practices, very simple, pragmatic, yet very simple, most reliably reduce dependence, paired with the clinical markers you respect?
Yeah, I would say just start slow. Start walking a little bit, start eating right. In my book, I discuss many different diets depending on someone's, how they what they're comfortable eating, what their genetic makeup is, and say they grew up in a certain area, they're just used to a Mediterranean type diet, they're used to a vegetarian diet, whatever it is. It does I'm not at all saying one diet is better than another, but all of them in general, if you're just eating right, will help you with that fitness. Just begin slowly walking, swimming, um, breathing, breathing fresh air, opening those lungs up. It could be yoga. It could be chair yoga. It could be just basic stretches. There's so much that people can do, and
Mhm.
you'll see those markers that you talked about start to come down. And it's just getting yourself in a little more fitness, a little more healthy. And because every medication does have a side effect. So if you are capable and medically able to not take medications, in the long run, it is better for you.
Hmm. Now, personally, I will definitely advocate for that, Dr. Michael. I will definitely advocate for that.
Right.
Um, Although for all the listeners, this is not a kind of a medical advice here. Definitely, this is at your own discretion. But personally, I'll definitely support that. Um,
No, definitely. Yeah, I'm not examining everybody. I'm not I'm just talking in a macro level of
yeah.
taking care of yourself and having an effect on hopefully you can get yourself, if you're on medication, get yourself off medication. I mean, I've seen it happen, but there are situations where you can't. And again, I'm not your treating physician, so I'm not making that judgment, nor is this show.
Yeah, yeah. And also, Dr. Michael, I had a very wonderful, incredible guest. He's 83 years young. And we were discussing about, the very controversial, very sometimes polarizing discussion on vegetarian diet versus non-vegetarian diet or meat-based diet or plant-based diet. Uh,
Mhm.
as per your research and observation and experiences, what do you think that do plant-based diet or vegetarian diet does it help in increasing your longevity and making you fitter versus.
Uh, yeah, in my opinion, the plant-based diet is probably the best type of diet you can have, or working way towards more plants, such as a Mediterranean type diet. There was research that showed that, people with severe clogging of their coronary arteries, the arteries of the heart, that,
Mhm.
going to a strict plant-based diet, it began to reverse those blockages. So, yes, there's research that shows it, but again, I'm not going to advocate because I know some people, they just can't. Some people for, ethnic reasons, but whatever the reasons may be. But, in general, that's my opinion, yeah, something in more of a plant base is definitely much more healthy for you than any of the others.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
And before we wrap up, obviously, Dr. Michael, if our listeners, they would like to connect with you and also get a hold of your book, um, and they would also like to share and get more resources and wisdom from you, of course, what would be the easiest way?
There's a couple different ways. First, my website is drmguad.com. That's drmguad.com. On Instagram, where people can DM me, and my Instagram is dr period underscore Guadagnino, Guadagnino. And my book, Fitness Over 50, 60, 70, and Beyond, can be found on Amazon. It's one of the best-selling books right now, and, I highly recommend it. It's a nice macro, explanation of so many aspects of health that, yeah, it's on Amazon, and I highly recommend it.
Absolutely. So, listeners, what I'll do for all of you is I'll have all the links mentioned in the show notes. So, just refer to them along with this episode on whichever platform you listen to your podcast to. And if I can summarize here, I mean, first of all, I think the 50s, 60s, 70s, or, even if someone who is listening to our conversation right now is on the brink of getting into that phase and it's this kind of, embarrassed, or you are feeling embarrassed starting at just square one, don't feel that because I believe identity eats willpower. And when you see yourself as someone who shows up, the room, the coach, the playlist, it all pull you forward. So, as Dr. Michael beautifully said, start small, stay seen, and let community as well do the heavy lifting. And Dr. Michael, thank you so much for this such an insightful conversation. Of course, you really, really brought clarity and compassion, especially when it comes to aging.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of fun, and yes, everything should be done in a non-judgmental way. I mentioned that several times in my book. There's no judgment. It's just
Mm,
take your time and get yourself through and get yourself healthy.
exactly. Exactly. So, listeners, as you heard it, aging isn't a verdict, it's a training block. And today, we on this podcast, we heard the boring but beautiful truth. Consistency, sensible intensity, and community beat hacks every time. So, if you are over 50, your next step is not dramatic, it is deliberate, it is intentional. So, maybe start this week. Two strength sessions or three purposeful walks, go out, feel the nature, feel the grass, daily mobility while the kettle boils, and track the wins you can feel. Until then, this is Cosmic Confluence. I'm your host, Sana, where your body's wisdom and your future self are on the same team. See you next time.